Well, hello everyone. Welcome to week 7. We are in Bulgaria and we are well on our way through the second half of the season. My name is Zotomo and I'm joined as always by my co-caster Calamity. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. We have a resident Bulgarian. He is not Bulgarian by nationality, but Mr. Blue does currently live in the country, so it'll be interesting to see how he might do compared to his fellow racers, and we will see him in round number 4. But before that, our lineup for today is Pizanico in round 1, Hidekmi, Calamity, Mr. Blue, and M the Baseman. A quick tidbit on what we can expect in Bulgaria, Calamity.
Yeah, Bulgaria is an interesting one. Definitely not high up on the favorites list for a lot of players, being mostly in Cyrillic and, looking relatively not so nice in a lot of the parts, thanks in quotation marks to the winter coverage that it has, meaning that a lot of it looks not that appealing. But it is generally a beautiful country, which you can also see in the newer coverage. We'll see if we get some of that. In general, it's I wouldn't call it well signed, but it's okay. There's definitely countries that are worse in terms of signage. And it's just a matter of will you find some of those signs and will they point you to cities that are big enough? Because if you're really out there in the middle of nowhere, you can't just be on a rural road that will bring you to signs that are like, hey, this small village is 2 kilometers away and that one's 4 kilometers away. And finding those can be really difficult because it is a relatively big country that is not densely populated in the sense that there's a lot of people in the rural areas, but there's a lot of small villages just spread around. So you can't just like zoom in sort of a bit and then go through. Because if you zoom in quite a lot, then you still see lots of different small towns popping up.
Mm.
So it's very difficult to find some small villages if you have no idea where in the country you are. But in general, not the most difficult country if the locations aren't too bad.
Yeah, so they got a couple good roads. Numbering system is not chaotic and compared to a fellow other Balkan countries in that area. So we'll see what we can find, and we will start then with Piznico in round number 1.
Mm,
And right by a town sign, that's nice at least.
yeah, that helps.
But again, probably too small to be able to find on a map.
Yeah, unless you look in the right area.
True.
It's always difficult to just say, hey, this is definitely going to be too small to find on the map because technically you can find everything on the map as long as the name's written there somewhere. It's just a matter of where do you zoom into. Um, but yeah, I'd agree that I wouldn't just go looking for that town name based off of that sign because while it didn't look like super small, it also didn't seem like a big town, big city.
And he's Nico doing the smart thing here, going away from town to hope to find a major road, and he has found one. Few town names and whatnot, but again, nothing too big. A road number would be really helpful.
The problem is road numbers are relatively rare. Like I said, it's
Mm-hmm.
not badly signed, but you mostly find signs with just kilometers and no road numbers attached to it. For those, you kind of really have to be on the major highways.
Decides to head back into town now that he knows there's sort of a major road behind him.
It is actually an interesting one
Southwest.
In Bulgaria as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of a dilemma you have with a lot of countries of do you go into the town or out of
Mm-hmm.
it? In Bulgaria, it's kind of mixed, where sometimes it can be a really good idea to go into the town to find signs to pointing to some larger cities, but sometimes they're just not there. It's kind of really difficult to tell with Bulgaria
Yeah.
what's the better choice.
Yeah, sometimes you can get into kind of like the town square or whatnot, and they have all really good signage to all the major towns around as kind of this major junction. And sometimes there's nothing, and you find that junction on the outskirts of town. So
Yep.
he will use his handy little waypoint there and jump back to the road. Under 2 minutes now to go, and not a whole lot. This is very nice coverage. So right now you can tell this is probably some of that new coverage you were talking about. Doesn't
It
look too
could
wintry.
be. It's always a bit difficult to
That one
tell if
probably is the winter coverage, but
yeah. It's always a bit difficult to tell if you're watching a recording uploaded to YouTube shared
mm,
via Zoom. Kind of looks like a
yeah.
lot of pixels that might be or might not be of good quality.
Yeah, the easiest way to tell the camera generation is just the quality of the image, which even for me watching on a YouTube video is going to be a little bit tricky. He will head back to these town names, I assume, with about a minute left to go and try to find those on a map, perhaps.
It's cutting it close.
Mm,
It was only just to a town 5 kilometers away.
yeah, so and he will start looking and not going to be big enough. Perhaps he can go down the road a bit more. Nope, not that side of the sign. Very long, straight northwesterly road.
It does look like there's a bigger city in the distance to the south.
True. So something like that.
North.
Yeah, to the northwest. Those roads all in that shape. And ooh, that's a really good find. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure enough, that's the junction. And now it's just a matter of figuring out just after that curve where exactly he is. There we go. That was really nice. He zoomed in. The town name was visible for a split second. As he zoomed out, he caught it. And you could definitely see that there. And literally in the last 10 seconds or so, an ace for Pizanico. So a really good find for him there and a bit of luck. But again, Calamity, pay attention to those road directions that got him in the right area. And that town name popped up.
Yeah, when I say lucky, what I mean by that is credit where credit's due. It was a very good idea to look in the distance and spot that bigger city over there. But of course, it was luck that it just happened to be the town, the city that he thought it might be in Plovdiv. It could have been Stara Zagora, it could have been Ashkovo, it could have been Shumen. Could have been any of those, really. Could have even been Sofia. There's just no road that would fit south of Sofia. But there's a couple of cities it could have been, and it just so happened to be the one that he first looked at, which is a bit of luck. But in the end, it paid off, and he did find the small town south of it.
Yeah, sometimes a bit of luck is all you need. How did the other 4 drivers in our group do?
For 4 of them, not much of a problem. Actually, 3 of them, sorry. 4 of them, never mind. Everything's correct. I just still had, always when I'm looking at which videos are we going to present, I click on all the people we've kept the videos from, and then I forgot to take the one out that we didn't actually choose to include. So 4 people without problems. Mr. Blue dropped 3 points, actually, which is probably a bit annoying for him. Just couldn't get the pinpointing quite right. 33 meters away, but 5Ks for me and Basement as well, and only 560 points for hitting me, who ended up, I guess, not finding anything.
Yeah, you could definitely see there how you could not find a whole lot if you're paying a little bit too much attention to some of those small signs. You use up all your time, don't notice the town in the distance and that road direction, and you're kind of just lost and just throw your pin down somewhere.
Yeah, I also think like you couldn't really make out from the starting location that the big road would be to the west. Obviously, you'd see it if you traveled there for 15 seconds, but can't blame anyone who just goes east and goes like, well, into the town, maybe after the town there's a bigger road, and just, you end up wasting a lot of time. Like we saw Pizanico technically waste, of course he couldn't have known that it was a waste of time, but he wasted 2 minutes or 1.5 minutes just looking through the town and not finding anything.
So we'll jump to round number 2 and Hidekmi and see if he can't recover from his round 1 troubles. And we are in another town again. Village. No convenient sign right at the starting location, but should be able to find one not too far away.
And Bulgaria is one of the countries where it might be possible to make up for 560 points in round 1, although he'll probably have to be perfect for the rest of the game.
Well, this definitely seems to be a major road with plenty of signs. Whether or not he can do anything with them, we'll see.
And they're all in that annoying area of, hey, it's like 18 to 12 kilometers away, where it could be big, maybe, but it could also not be.
Yeah, looking for any of these towns.
It's in a relatively hilly area, which excludes about, I'd say, 40% of the country that it doesn't have to look through.
That north and that kind of middle valley stretch.
Yep.
Avoid, but that middle band of mountains, plus to that southwest corner.
There's still plenty to look for.
Yeah, it's still plenty to look through. It's a big country, as you mentioned. The Arda River, that might be. I mean, if you knew your Bulgarian geography really well, that might have been a nice little hint.
Yeah. Arda is also one of the furthest away town there that he's got on the sign.
And he spent an awful lot of time looking at the map with only a couple. He's got more town names he hasn't been looking at. Just hoping one of those he can find will be there.
I think the others aren't any more useful. It's the same town names, actually. I think one of them is replaced by something else, but other than that...
a slightly different one. Plenty of more signs. Very similar town names.
It's just a matter of, do you put Smolyan or Rudozem on the sign? The other two stay the same.
Can he find it? He's looking in the right geographic sort of area, these little mountain ranges down here. Got a minute and a half still to go.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, is this a smart move from him here, Calamity? I mean, he's got plenty of town names. If he can find any of them, he's going to be fine. Oh, there they are. Right on the border. And sure, there we go.
I think I probably wouldn't have done it any differently. There is maybe a reason for, or maybe an argument for finding the small village or the town you are in first, finding that name. Just so that you have something else to help you in that situation that he's currently in, where he now doesn't know. He knows the area, but he doesn't know where exactly is he. So that might save a bit of time as well. But yeah, it can be a bit tricky finding that town name, because in those small villages, it's sometimes not easy to tell whether you're still in the village or already out of it. So it's hard to know which direction you need to go to get to the town entrance or exit signs.
Yeah, he thinks he's found a pretty nice looking intersection that might be where he is. But again, there's no town there, so he will check out some of these that might look right. And with 20 seconds, you might just be able to get it through process of elimination.
Yep.
And that looks really good. There we go. Another last 20 second find in round 2, just like we saw in round 1 from Pizanico. And he's only got a few more seconds to pinpoint, hoping that this road is going to be right. And sure enough, it will be a nice ace for him. So very different round, lots of town names, spent the whole time practically scanning that map, but finally found it.
Yeah, he did. Funny story about that, actually. You saw that there was a sign for Smolyan there as well, which was like 12 kilometers away. I don't remember finding that. I mean, I probably found it, but I didn't really remember that. What I did find was that we were in the town of Smiljan. So when I was looking for all of these towns, I just found Smolyan and was like, let me zoom into that. And there it was, Smiljan.
There we go.
So that was lucky. But yeah, generally not too much problems for most of the people here. Basement dropped 570 points, 7 kilometers too far north, but 5Ks all around otherwise.
Very nice. So Pizanico still on a perfect game. Mr. Blue not too far off, as well as you, Calamity, are on a perfect game. And we will check out you then in round number 3. See if you can keep that perfect score going. And this is more of that nice winter coverage we're used to. And
at
least you found it at the beginning. It only took you 10 seconds. So it looks like a road being constructed here. And we'll jump. Oh, that's much nicer. There's that road now.
Ooh. That's not nice anymore.
And now we're on some weird coverage. So this is a bit of a debate between the drivers afterward about what the heck was this. It is copyrighted Google, which means it is sort of official coverage, but
Yeah, that's really weird. I didn't even notice that.
yeah.
That it was official Google coverage.
A little stretch of road there to the north is a weird blue car shows up. There's a town exit sign.
Definitely no information that way.
Mhm.
The thing is, just from what I've seen to the north, it looked like a relatively, I'm going to call it a big town. So I kind of knew that if I was looking for that town name, then it'd be pretty likely to show up at a decent zoom level.
Yeah. And it's a pretty good bet we're close to one of the major highways because they are constructing that thing. There we go. And that little curve off of the road is going to look really nice on the map. You always love it when the road shape is very unique. You can kind of, oh yeah, there we go. There's a dead end. Nice big road right behind me. And there we go. No time at all. An ace. Well, not an ace. Drop 2 points. Not quite far enough down the road, I guess, for that one. So trying to be a little bit too fast in round 3, Calamity.
It doesn't really have anything to do with being too fast. Just, I mean, it's a road that's basically in construction, or just there's construction vehicles on it. It's difficult to tell where exactly you are on it.
Yeah, and so you could spend another minute fretting over a couple of meters, but you still might not be as lucky. So yeah, 2 points dropped for you, unfortunately. How about everybody else?
Perfect score for Mr. Blue, but other people seem to struggle a lot with this location in general. He's an eco dropped 26 points. I just couldn't pinpoint it. Headache Me as well, also in the right town, but dropped 83 points. Also not able to pinpoint it. And M the Basement, 24 kilometers further south, dropping about 1,600 points. All of them using up their full 4 minutes.
Yeah, I bet that weird coverage change toward the south there was a little bit tricky. If you couldn't find that town off of a major highway, it could have been a little bit difficult. But yeah, so it seems that we've got a trend after 3 rounds here that finding the general area and a few signs hasn't been too much of a problem, but pinpointing has proved a bit tricky for our drivers. We'll get to Mr. Blue, who isn't on a perfect game after his unfortunate round number 1. We'll see what he can do in round number 4 and if it will kind of hold this kind of theme of good information, but a bit tricky to pinpoint. We'll see if the local resident here can pick up anything. Nice little town name. Turn off to the east.
Not even kilometers.
Just that way.
Yep. That's how you know it's really small. Let me actually see if I can figure out how many inhabitants it has.
It's one of those signs you see that it's like it's not for tourists, it's for locals only, right? Your town's this way. Oh, I know, and I know how far that is, so I don't need to worry about it.
It does not have a Wikipedia entry.
Doesn't surprise me.
Nope.
Hey, residents of Cherna, get on that. Your town needs a wiki. Calamity needs to know how many people live there.
To the 4 people that live there.
Yeah, if you can search in Bulgarian, you might be able to find the municipality website if they even have one. Tiny just overshoots. That's a slightly bigger town. Denista.
I can tell you they've apparently got 8 degrees Celsius there right now.
And Boyan is off to the west. So another one of those triangle intersections, which seem to be quite popular in Bulgaria.
I can tell you the whole municipality, which is quite a bit bigger than just Cherna, has a population of 24,000 people. Yeah,
but that's like it's really hard to tell because they're not densely located, right? They're spread out across the countryside.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And there's 68 villages in that municipality. So let me just divide that number by 68. So on average, a village in that municipality has 357 people.
Sounds like where my mom lives. Like the town entrance sign says population like 7,000 or something. But you would never guess that many people live there because they're all ranchers and farmers and are spread out. So you might see a couple hundred people if you're lucky.
I've actually found it on a site called mapkarta.com. It says Churn is a village in Bulgaria and has about 554 residents.
Oh, there you go.
And there it is on the map.
There we go. Despite the troubles, we are not too far from that intersection. Yes. Mr. Blue is still a whole minute to go. Showing off his local searching ability, knowing some of the geography here, probably a big help to narrow down that search area. Now it's going to be that tricky pinpointing. We are around a bend. And then besides that, good luck. Roughly closer to the bend than the other one. But how much closer? I would say maybe 25% of the way. 25, 75, but who knows? Margin of error is pretty forgiving on a road this long. Between those two bends, he's got a bit of leeway to play with. And yeah, 14 meters, still good enough for the ace there. Very nicely done. But a tricky round. Mr. Blue is able to find it. How about everybody else?
If you include literally everybody else in that, then Orpheus also found it, and that's about it. As you saw, you had signs giving you a few kilometers to some very small villages. So just looking through the map would have, other than getting lucky, probably not given you anything. I do think Pisonico might have gotten really lucky or a really good placement without having found anything, because he was 8 kilometers away, which to me, he also didn't place it on a road at all. To me, just looks like he placed it there without having found anything and got really close. Other than that, not a lot of points. Heading me 1,300, 500 for me, and 100 for basement.
Yeah, for me, what happens is like you eliminate 75% of the search area, and then you're like, well, I'm somewhere in here, and time's running out, and you just throw your pin down. So if he eliminated the entire like western half of the country and was like, okay, well, somewhere in here, and just got a little bit lucky in his placement. So 2 very lucky rounds for him in that regard. And we will jump to M the Baseman in the final round, who hasn't been having the best of days, but hasn't been too bad. Only 1 ace to his name. We can see how he can do in round number 5. Finish us off, and well, probably some of the best signs we've seen so far. We actually have
actual
a road
numbers, yeah.
There we go, the 34.
Yep, signs for Pleven and Veliko Tarnovo. Both of those relatively big cities.
Yeah, so after 4 slightly annoying rounds, especially the round previously, and the Basement is breathing a bit of a sigh of relief with lots of town names and an actual road number. And you can see more of this beautiful winter coverage as we're close to the northern border of the country this time. At a southern border location and a northern border.
There's the intersection to Vaber, and he, knowing that, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Not gonna matter.
Did pretty well, though. Just dropped only 10 points on that one. Actually, he just goes too fast.
Yep.
Yeah, so don't really think we can... Yep, can't catch it. But we can see his total score there, 17,854. But Calamity, remember, we had a very rough round 4, and apart from a few drivers, plenty of points being dropped. So how did he and everybody else finish up at the end of the day?
Yeah, the last round, of course, not a big decider between anything here at this point. So actually not too many aces there, because it wasn't the easiest to pinpoint. It was just basically a curve, which always sucks a bit. But 4 aces in that round with me, Carp, Barry, and Orpheus. And that, in the end, leads to Orpheus winning.
Mm.
Mr. Blue, unfortunately, in his home country, just 4 points off in second place. Pisanico then in third place with some pretty good guesses with 24,343 points.
That's his first podium, I believe, as well. Right?
It might be. I don't know.
Hang on a second. Yes, it is. He has finished in the top 10 a couple times, but that is by far his highest finish the entire season.
Nice for him. And then we've got me in ninth place, just barely scraping by 2 points. But at least more than Basement and Headache Me in 13th and 14th, who got 17.8 and 16.8k respectively. I had 20.5 in ninth place.
Yeah, so another country that proves a bit difficult to pinpoint. Nobody getting a perfect score, but probably the most noticeable thing is, if you didn't realize it, Boxa was not in the top 3 that he listed. If you want to find out where he finished and everybody else, check out our show for the Formula G show, and we go over the entire results and the current standings for the week. And we will see you over there. Take care.
Bye.